Hello and welcome to First Brunch Then Hustle. Today I'm going to be talking about igniting your intuition and your inner navigation. I'm Star Hayward, a spiritual business and leadership coach for women visionary entrepreneurs. And my weekly show here is to help to support you and empower you in becoming truly the confident leader you need to be for your soul aligned mission. So, what is intuition? It is a knowing without evidence. We know our intuition as a gut feeling. We call it our higher mind. It may be our higher consciousness or our inner being. These are different ways that we describe what our intuition is, where it comes from, but ultimately it is a feeling, right? This feeling that gives us this gut knowing, this deep inner knowing that we don't need proof or evidence to believe in and to feel is real. So, our inner or internal navigation is using your intuition and emotional guidance system to steer your perspectives, your choices, and your actions. And this is very feminine. This is all about the divine feminine arena to really lean on and harness our intuition using in combination with our emotional guidance system, really how we feel to again steer our choices and our actions. Now, your external navigation is using intelligence rooted in knowing, a knowledge based on facts and figures and physical evidence. This is using your external navigation based on what has already manifested, what is already physically tangible, and what has already been proven. This falls underneath the divine masculine arena, and this also falls underneath the universal intelligence, whereas the divine feminine channel is universal oneness. So you can see being under universal intelligence as the divine masculine arena or channel, that then it makes sense that it's very anchored in a need to know, in more of that black and white. So, and using your external navigation would be utilizing those facts, figures, and proof, physical manifestation to steer your choices and your actions. Now, I believe that drawing a balance and harmonizing the two is very, very powerful. And it is when we come to a place of knowing how to identify our intuition and knowing how to identify when we are in our intelligence, and then also harnessing each one or leveraging each one for the right moment and the right time and the right choices and actions that we're taking in our lives. This is tapping into our true human potential, and this is accessing our authentic power. So, what does it mean, or what's going on for us as women when we are not necessarily listening to and following our intuition? What is happening in these moments? Now, I'm going to just go through a few that just kind of came to top of mind for me. And there are many contributing factors, but a few primary ones are self minimizing, right? How many times have you had a gut feeling and then you backed down because you weren't trusting in it? You weren't trusting in yourself. And maybe you were looking outside of yourself for validation, for answers, for guidance, right? And in those moments, it's you weren't able to follow through on that intuition because you were minimizing yourself. So, and we do this. I've done it many, many times. And it's really important to acknowledge those moments for ourselves and catch ourselves when we are minimizing what we know to be true. Because when we acknowledge that and we can shift into owning it, owning that gut response, no matter what it may be, then that builds self esteem and self confidence. You see, often I'll have my clients go through exercises and or if I'm doing a live training and I put my clients or audience through an exercise and I say gut feeling response, go. And I do that because the gut response, again, is that higher mind. It's our inner knowing, our inner being speaking to us. And it's rooted in universal oneness energy and unconditional love and the divine feminine. And it doesn't often steer us wrong. In fact, I don't know if my intuition has ever steered me wrong. But I'm going to get into a little bit more about what's going on when we are allowing ourselves to get sidetracked from our following our intuition. So number one is self-minimizing behaviors. It's an automatic response. Even though the gut response is there first, right behind it is a self-minimizing belief or behavior pattern. Another one is people pleasing, shrinking to fit, and putting others' needs before your own. How many times have you done this? How many times? Countless times. And I stopped myself from doing this once I realized it was such a chronic pattern. But countless times I would just, you know, ask my husband, well, what would you prefer? Because, I could go either way. And I know that ultimately what we land on is going to be great. But what would you prefer? And so I was always giving him, you know, the, the final say. And I realized, even though I fully trust in my husband to make great decisions, and we often are just thinking the same thing anyway when it comes to a lot of things, but especially like meals that we're going to make, or what do we feel like eating, or what do we feel like doing, we're usually in sync. I mean, I'd say like 95% of the time, which is fantastic. I don't know if a lot of people could say that, but we're very blessed and very lucky, but I have to be really careful to not take that for granted, right? Because then after a while, I started feeling like, well, am I like not making what I really truly desire important enough? And when I realized that, I was like, oh yeah, like I'm totally down with making what I truly desire more important, and I know my husband would too. And so I started having more of an opinion. And it's been great. Nothing has changed in the way in which we're actually experiencing the things that we're making choices around. But what has changed is my feeling of self confidence and self esteem and self assurance in standing for that choice, and also allowing for what my desire is to root from my intuition and an inner knowing, rather than trying to think my way through, but to really connect and go within and feel how it is that I'm feeling, to decide how it is that I want to go about whatever the choice is. So people pleasing. Now, I have a client who just the other day we were speaking about how throughout her life she has been the chameleon. She has approached her relationships, whether it be with family or work or intimate relationships, friends, throughout her life, I mean, across the board, she said, I have just been a chameleon. I've been shrinking to fit. I've been being who I have always thought other people would want me to be. And so now she's, as a result of working together, we're helping her to find out who she really is by leaning into those inspired moments and really identifying and owning with awareness when she is lit up or ignited or inspired by something that she sees that she likes and that maybe she wants. Maybe it's an outfit, maybe it's fashion, maybe it's interior design, maybe it's where she wants to go, maybe it's what she wants to eat. But for the first time in her life at 40 years old, she's just now starting to make those decisions with that awareness so that she can start to connect with who she really is, so that she can bring the real her and the authentic her in through her business. Now, how powerful is that? So, when we're talking about igniting your intuition and your inner navigation, we're not just talking about listening to that inner voice. It can go a lot deeper than that for some people. For some people, it has everything to do with their ability to actually connect with the truth of who they really are. It has everything to do with their ability to find the confidence within to own who they are and stand solid and anchored and empowered in that being, in that identity that they are choosing for themselves, not by default. So it gets exciting, ladies. It gets really exciting when you embrace your intuition and start to really look into how many ways in which can you listen to your intuition with awareness. Are you or are you not? Are you second guessing yourself? Are you doubting yourself? Are you backing down? Right? This is what my client was doing all the time, again and again and again. She'd have an idea and then she would doubt it and back down and start to look for, well, will I be accepted or will I be rejected? Right? Acceptance and rejection, big deal for a lot of women. Very, very big deal. So when you are self-minimizing or you're being a people pleaser, with awareness, identify how it is that you're doubting yourself. And then what I want you to do in that moment is go back to the original thought, go back to the inspired thought, and make a choice to take an action rooted in that original thought so that you can backpedal out of the self doubt and actually follow through with that inspired thought or feeling that came through. Now, another way that we steer around following our intuition is leaning very, very heavily into the masculine approach, which is needing to know the outcome, needing proof. I need proof. I need the numbers, right? Where are the statistics? And there are times when that is very, very necessary, right? Like I said, it's about knowing how to balance and harmonize the masculine and feminine, balance and harmonize your intuition with your intelligence, and know when to leverage both. And that is tapping into your true human potential and accessing your inner authentic power, right? So, are there times that you are making the need to know more important than your intuition, where your intuition would really be the key player here? How many times can you identify where you didn't listen to your intuition? Or this happens a lot too. You come to your husband or your partner all fired up and excited about an idea for your business or an investment you want to make, and you just know in your heart of hearts, this is it. This is the business direction you want to go in. This is the mentor you want to work with. This is the strategy you want to do. This is the new idea, right, that you want to follow into. And that partner or person is right there poo-pooing all of it, right? Well, how do you know it's going to work? Where are the statistics? Where are the percentages? right? Where's the proof in the numbers? And all of a sudden, it's like all of this, excitement and what felt like absolute alignment is just getting rained on and dissipated. It happens to all of us, and we do it to ourselves. We don't even have to wait for somebody else to do it to us either, right? We do this to ourselves. So what would happen if you followed through with that original inspiration, trusting in your intuition and also trusting in your intelligence that you know how to make empowered decisions for yourself? What would that look like in those times? Now, I'll get a little open and personal with you here and talk about a time when I didn't follow my intuition. And did things work out? Yes, in the end. But this had to do with a very, very big life decision, and that was to get married to my first husband. And deep down, my inner knowing was telling me this isn't the love of your life. That you could go through with this, but it would really be on a hope and a prayer, and really living for the potential of what this could be, not for what you know what you two uh, make up together, through a very honest lens. And there were some red flags, and but at this time in my life, I was 30. I had opened up my first business. I bought my first home. And here I was, uh, being proposed to. And I, kind of went with the, well, I am 30, which now looking back is like so young, right? So young. And I'm thinking, I should probably be getting married around now. And, this is the man in my life who loves me. I know that he loves me. And regardless of whether I truly believe that I am in love with him or not, he loves me. And I wasn't putting myself first. I was minimizing myself. I was pleasing him because I knew it would be so pleasing to him if I had said yes. And I wasn't reading the signs. So I went through with the marriage. I went through with the wedding, and it was a very, very challenging several years of my life. We met challenge after challenge. It was very tumultuous, even though we had created really amazing things together. The truth just continued to surface, and that was we were just too different. Even if we wanted, or talked about wanting the same kind of end result in life, our pathway to get there and how it was that we were wanting to grow and create our lives together were very different. And there were some underlying issues under all of that as well. We really brought our deep wounds to the surface. So we were very face to face with our, life lessons and childhood wounds, and, all of those places within ourselves that weren't really truly nurtured and met. Um, and we just didn't have what it took, to heal those deep wounds with each other. In fact, I think that in some ways we at times made them even worse. We made a lot of mistakes together, and at any rate, it was tumultuous, it was dysfunctional, it was painful, and at times even abusive. And, what it took, the courage that it took for me to make a different choice after having made that commitment. And, I know many of you have been there, maybe you're there right now. But what it took to find my way through that chapter of my life and really commit to making a different decision, um, it really did require for me to not only dig deeper than I had really known before, but it did require for me to rely on my intuition and to really trust that the outcome was going to be better than where I was at that moment, because I didn't know, I didn't have proof of how things were going to work out, right? But I was ready to stop self minimizing. I was really ready to stop sabotaging my happiness. And I was ready to learn what it meant to truly love myself. And the first step was by releasing myself from a choice that I had made that just wasn't in alignment with what I knew at that point then, that I really wanted in my life. So this is, getting a little bit deeper into, how it can really hinder us if we're not willing to follow that inner knowing and really heed the red signs or red flags in our life, right? So when we can follow our intuition, we are likely making an aligned choice with our inner being, with our higher consciousness, right? With our higher self, because that is the voice of our truth. It's in alignment with the truth of who we are. So, and it does take putting yourself first. It can take digging deep for that courage and digging deep for the confidence that you need in order to make that decision and stick with it and follow it through, even though the manifestation, the proof, right, the masculine, the physical manifestation of that decision may not have shown up yet. And maybe it's taking a lot of time to show up. And maybe there are times that you get frustrated and you want to just throw in the towel and say, you know what, screw it. I'm done following my intuition and just trusting in the process. I'm ready to, really have the manifestation show up, and I'm going to jump into, a strategy that's going to, or an approach, or start making decisions that's going to give me more proof. Now, we learn by contrast, right? We learn by the left and right, up and down, what we like, what we don't like. I talk about this a lot. And so there are no truly wrong choices, right? I don't believe that we ever make a wrong choice, but what we have here is an opportunity, always an opportunity for us to make an aligned choice for us, right? Aligned choices. So, following your intuition, igniting your inner navigation requires listening and being willing to commit to that inner voice. Commit by making choices and taking actions that are in alignment with that original thought, with that original inspired feeling that is coming through you. Having awareness of when you are doubting yourself and second guessing yourself, and why. Why are you doing that? Is it to shrink to fit? Are you minimizing yourself? Are you sabotaging your happiness? Are you being a people pleaser? Are you relying on external proof for you to make your way through life, right? So I would love to hear about how this approach to igniting your intuition works for you. And I would love to know if there's anything about this video that's been inspiring to you. What are your key takeaways? I'm here and so happy to hear from you. So thank you so much for joining me once again on First Brunch Then Hustle. Have fun igniting your intuition and let the magic happen, ladies. I will look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you so much, and ciao, ciao for now.